Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, Save Time on Data Entry with e-invoicing. The purpose of this webinar is to ensure that you understand the ins and outs of e-invoicing. So let's see what's in store for you today. We'll start with an explanation of what e-invoicing actually is, along with the many benefits that go with it. Then we'll have a look at how to register and also send and receive e-invoices in Australia and New Zealand. So you can see that process, and I'll show you what the e-invoice looks like as well. I'll finish off with some tips on how you can let your network know about e-invoicing and get them on board as well. Because the more people we have on board, the better it is for everyone. So before we go into the ins and outs of e-invoicing, let's just remind ourselves of the current standard way to invoice. So invoices are sent via email or in the post, and the recipient of that invoice then receives it in the mail or in their inbox and then needs to pay the invoice. If they are also a business, they need to record the details, reconcile the payment transaction, and save the proof of the invoice for their accounting compliance. Now, there are quite a few inefficiencies and risks that arise from these methods of invoicing. Firstly, the administration around sending, receiving, and keeping a record of invoices is costly. And there's often double handling of this data, which just drives the cost up even higher and increases the risk of errors. Secondly, invoices can get missed or lost, which delays the payment coming through and makes it harder for you or your clients to get paid, which is obviously not something we want to see happen. It also increases the risk of fraud. If an invoice is intercepted or an email account is compromised, invoices can easily be replicated with a different bank account or payment terms and sent to customers. So this is definitely not a seamless process, and there's a lot of room for improvement. And that's where e-invoicing comes in. So e-invoicing is the new way to send and receive invoices directly between accounting systems. Invoices travel straight from one accounting software to the other, and they'll land directly as a draft bill in Xero, so no manual data entry is required. As you can imagine, this really simplifies the process end to end and reduces the number of steps before a small business gets paid for their work. So let's take a look at more details and benefits of this method. So first and foremost, it'll save a huge amount of time. But how exactly does it save time? Well, you don't need to enter any information. So no manual data entry is required. When you or your client receives the e-invoice, it automatically appears as a draft bill in Xero with all data entered already, including the account code. So all that's needed is to review, approve, and pay. And in Australia and New Zealand, you can even get your monthly Xero subscription bill sent as an e-invoice. So that won't need to be manually entered either. Secondly, it's super straightforward to use. It's really easy to register, and you'll see that registration process shortly. You don't need any other apps to use it, and the two businesses exchanging the e-invoices don't even have to be using the same accounting provider. So they don't both need to be using Xero, for example. As long as the system supports e-invoicing, the invoices will flow through and be populated correctly. Last but certainly not least, it's a more secure and reliable way to invoice. Invoices travel over a secure government-backed network called PEPAL, so the security of your invoices is greatly improved and even harder to intercept. Because it eliminates human intervention, it significantly reduces the risk of email and invoice tampering and, of course, admin error. So we're going to jump into Xero now, and I'm going to first step you through the registration process for Australia and New Zealand. Now, firstly, just note that you only need to register for e-invoicing if you're receiving e-invoices. You don't need to register to send them. And this is the same in Singapore as well. So to register for e-invoicing in Australia and New Zealand, you'll need to ensure you've entered a business number, so an ABN in Australia or NZBN in New Zealand, and also that you've entered a legal or trading name as it appears on the business register. So let's have a look in this account to make sure that we have that set up. So in our settings, under organization details, we can see here we have the legal or trading name entered, and I can confirm that this is as it appears on the business register. And then we also have an ABN set up. So obviously this is an Australian organization. So that's all you need to have entered to register. So you can go to the Business tab and then Bills to Pay. And then you'll see on the top right, the Automate Bill Entry button. So press that. And this is where you actually go to register to receive e-invoices. So we'll select that one there. So Xero then pulls through the ABN or NZBN from the organization settings. So we'll just click to search for your business information. Confirm that these details are correct. And then it will ask you to choose the authorized representative. And this person will basically act as the business contact with the PEPAL network. So you'd enter their details and agree to the terms and conditions if you're happy with those, and then just click the complete registration button at the bottom. Now, I'm not going to go through with that last step for now, but all that will happen is you'll see a confirmation message letting you know the registration was successful. So those are the very simple steps for getting set up. So as you can see, it is very straightforward, but if you do wish to review these steps, you can have a look at a Xero Central article. And that's it for the Australian and New Zealand registration process. Now, once you're registered, you'll be able to receive e-invoices as well as send them. A reminder that you don't need to register to send e-invoices, you only need to register to receive them. Now, I do want to show you how you would send e-invoices in Australia and New Zealand, so let's jump back into Xero. So in order to send e-invoices to your customers, you'll need to make sure that you've added the customer's ABN or NZBN in the financial details section of their contact record. So for example, let's go to a contact here. And let's say we want to send an e-invoice to this customer here, ABC Allen. So we'll click into them and go to their financial details tab. And then we'll go to add financial details section here to add in their business number. So I'll scroll up, and this is where we need to enter that ABN for this customer. So I'll add in a fake one in here, and I'll save that one. And of course, just a reminder or to make you aware, you can import ABNs or NZBNs in bulk if you do need to upload a lot. So just bear that in mind. And for Australia and New Zealand, it's pretty much the exact same process as sending a regular invoice. So let's create a new invoice here. So just using the usual quick launch and invoice, and we land in our invoice here. So this is the new version of invoicing. Now, it's important to note that e-invoicing in Australia and New Zealand is only available in new invoicing. So that's this version here. For those of you who aren't too sure or who haven't seen new invoicing, it's basically one of the two versions of invoicing that we've had in Xero for a while now. So Classic is the older version. So if you see this little button at the bottom, we can switch into that there. And then this is the older version here. So you can definitely see how different the two versions look. So we'll jump back into the new version here using that button. And then this is the version that all new users are defaulted to. And it's definitely a more advanced version as well as looking a lot more up to date. Now, as mentioned, e-invoicing can only be done in the new version. So to send an e-invoice, all you need to do is enter in a customer name. So I'll enter the one from earlier, ABC Allen. And then if you follow my arrow to the bottom right, you'll see a toggle pop up. So there we have it. So in a couple of seconds, after you've entered the customer name, you'll see this toggle appear automatically. So we'll just select that one to toggle it on. And then you can proceed as normal with sending that invoice. There's no other differences apart from that toggle. So we'll just enter a description just so we're able to approve this. And then we'll have a look at what options come up when we approve it. So we'll have the options of attaching a PDF and payment information. And when you click send, that invoice will automatically appear as a draft bill in the customer's Xero account. And similarly, when you or your clients receive e-invoices, it appears as a draft bill in your Xero account. So you'll see it listed under the Business tab, in Bills to Pay, and in the Drafts. So this is where you'll see any e-invoices awaiting payment, and you pay those the exact same way as you would with regular invoices. There's nothing different there. And that's the send and receive process for Australia and New Zealand. And if we go back to our slides, we have an example of what the e-invoice looks like when it's received. Now, you might remember I did have an example of an e-invoice on the benefits slide earlier, but I just wanted to make it a bit clearer for you here. So you can see here, it has a PDF invoice attached, and Xero extracts that key information. So all that information that you're seeing there on the invoice has been entered automatically in the draft bill. So of course, that saves us lots of time with data entry, which of course is one of the benefits of e-invoicing. And I just want to point out here that these account codes that are populated will populate automatically within the draft bill as well. But in order for that to happen, you'll need to make sure to have default purchase accounts set up for your suppliers, and then they'll automatically populate within the bill. Any information that has been entered here automatically or populated automatically can be changed within the bill if needed. So once you're on board and registered for e-invoicing, it's super important that you let your network know about this. Without your suppliers and customers getting on board, you won't be able to reap the benefits of e-invoicing because, of course, you would then be unable to receive or send them. Basically, the more people that we get on board, the better it is for everyone. And for any accountants or bookkeepers joining us today, you obviously want your clients to get the benefits that come with e-invoicing as well. So make sure to share the following tips for how to communicate with customers and suppliers about e-invoicing. So for business and government customers, you or your clients might start by simply asking if they would like an e-invoice at the point of sale. It's important to please keep in mind that e-invoicing is available to business customers, not consumers. On the other hand, communicating with suppliers about joining the e-invoicing network adds value as well, as when you or your clients start to receive more e-invoices, you'll benefit from less data entry. So how do we suggest that you or your clients communicate with suppliers? Well, you could proactively provide your ABN and add an instruction to your purchase orders, for example.